We previously dealt with the mechanical problems on this RCA VET650 VCR from 1981. Now we're going to deal with the electrical problems. It has two. It won't detect the speed on playback for one, and it has a drum servo problem. So let's get started. So we're going to start on this old 41-year-old VHS deck again. So I just turned it on. It's been sitting overnight. Let's just see what happens when I power it up. Okay, that head drum sounds like it's going way too fast, and we have a nicely scrambled picture. If I were to slow the drum down by hand, well, we don't even have a picture now at all on it. It's like the head's clogged again. Well, let's just, there, clean the head. If I slow it down, so the drum is running wild. There's going to be capacitors for sure in the, probably in the sample and hold circuit. So let's get started and see if we can find the circuit that's faulting on this one. Now last night when I was messing with this thing, one thing I did do is I unplugged the drum motor when I changed the belt, and then the problem seemed to get corrected. So I wonder if it's something in the plug here. Let's just pull this, wiggle this plug a bit and see whether the drum motor changes. Listen for a change in the pitch. There might be something right in here. And now it's going the right speed. Well, listen to it. I think our problem for our drum speed is right here on this circuit board here. This is the drum drive. So let's just stop this thing from playing. I'm going to remove this little board here. We're going to look at this board and see if there's any problems with it, any broken connections or anything. And say, the reason I'm drawn to this board is because last night when I fired this thing up, I was having the drum running wild as well. And once I undid the plug to change the belt and plugged it back in, my drum speed was down to normal. So it got me thinking maybe something in this connector area. So this is the first place I've tried, and I just wiggled this and the drum speed seemed to change. So let's take a look at it and see if I can get that board out of there. Might be easier said than done. I think I probably got to take these pulleys out. So I got to remove the belt. I'm going to have to remove this clip because this pulley is going to block this board from coming out. And I do need to get under that board to take a look. So I'm going to try and pop this pulley off, or this clip, and I don't have the right tool to remove this. This is a special tool that is required to remove these bloody clips, but we just pry them off and they will work their way out. Remove that pulley. Now I can remove this little circuit board here. There's two screws that hold it in place. And I should be able to lift the board out now. And we'll inspect. Here's a close-up of the plug. I'm sure it's around in here because when I just wiggled the plug, that's when the speed changed. Either that or the connections on the pins here. But this is the board. I'm going to look at this closely with my magnifiers and see if I can spot any connections on here that are questionable. It could be the actual plug itself too. It's something definitely in this area, because when I moved it, that's when it fixed it. And when it fixed it last night, and then it was bad again today, and then when I just moved it, it kind of fixed it again. So it's got to be something right in this circuit here. I'm going to measure the ESR on some of these caps. See if any of these caps have gone really, really high in ESR. I think maybe one of them might be bad. Where are we here? These are all looking about the same. What about this one on the end here? This one is 97 ohms. Yeah, I think this one needs to be replaced. What do you think? And that might even be in the sample and hold circuit. What is it? It's like probably a little .47 or something. Let's just pull it and take a look at this one here. What is this one? Now I know someone's going to pipe up and say I should change them all. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. If I have to change one or two, that might happen. This one's 98 ohms. And it is a 10 microfarad at 16 volt. We'll change this one, and then we'll see whether that fixes the problem. I bet you that's the one that's bad. The problem with these ancient machines like this is, well, there's just so many discrete parts. That was the big improvement in VCRs. Some may disagree with me. I'm sure many will. But the big problem with VCRs was there was so many parts in these ones, so many discrete parts, so many capacitors. A wise man once said, and I believe this to be true, the reliability of any electronic device is inversely proportional to the number of electrolytic capacitors it contains. No truer words have been spoken. The more electrolytic caps a device contains, the more points of failure you're going to have. And it is uneconomically possible to go and change every single one. Did my stereo just start playing music? I just heard music start playing. What the heck is going on? Where is that music coming from? Well, I know where it's coming from, but why am I getting it through the stereo? That's weird. It's coming in on the tape monitor. What are the chances? I must have moved something, and the input wire just hanging off the back of the amp just happened to make contact with the output wire, the output patch cord from my MP3 player, which is sitting there. And all of a sudden, I get music playing. Thought I was hearing things there for a second. because I've got it apart already. Might as well just go over the plug here. I think probably what was happening is when I was pushing and pulling on the board, I was causing enough of a flex that this cap that was going open was probably becoming problematic. But the other ones, say they've all got a little bit of elevated ESR, but I'm not too worried about it. I say this is only one problem that this machine has. I still have the playback speed for the SP tapes to deal with, which is likely a capacitor somewhere else in the speed sense circuit where the control track is sampled and passed on to the speed detection circuit. So I'll just resolder this plug just in case one of these pins was not making a good connection, as this is where I was pulling on the plug when it started working. I didn't see any connections that looked bad from looking at them. A couple ones here, that one looks like might be questionable. Okay, let's try this again. Remount the board. It's quitting time. I got the barrier to go in place. Yeah, it was this way, I think. Yeah, it goes in like this. The wires go into here. You have to wonder, when they were building these things in the factory, how much of this was done by machines and how much was assembled by people. I think a lot of this probably was put together by hand. I don't think in 1981 they didn't have the automation capacity that they had in later years to do automated assembly of VCRs. So like the circuit boards and stuff would be probably automated as far as that goes, but I think as far as the putting a lot of these sub-assemblies on and plugging in a lot of these connectors and stuff, probably a lot of this was done by hand. Alright, let's try this again and see whether the drum spins up to a more normal speed or whether it still takes off and goes to 200 miles an hour. Sounds like it's going to the correct speed now. Okay, that part's good. Now, we just need to deal with why it's not playing the correct speed. I have a picture, although the heads are clogged again. I'll just unclog them. Oh, wait a minute. It's probably because it's playing at the wrong speed. I'm sure that's all it is. It's going the wrong speed now. So now we need to figure out why it's playing it at SLP or LP speed. Certainly not going the right speed, that's for sure. If I pause it, yeah, it's playing an LP because SLP and SP on this machine we give a freeze frame, but LP blanks the picture. So for some reason it thinks it's an LP tape and not an SP, which it is. Go to search. Search backwards. And incidentally, the guide that I had to lubricate here, how we determine whether it's too high or too low is we do a search back and watch the tape and see when it's in reverse search whether the tape starts to ride up or down on the guide here. So I'm a little bit high, so I'm just going to turn it down a little bit and I'll just check it again here. So I go into playback, I'm going to go into reverse search and I'm going to watch the tape and see whether the tape starts to shift at all coming back off of the pinch roller. And now it's running even. Now it's running even. So the tape guide is in the proper position now. One thing I noticed on this machine is it's got this, it looks like something got spilt on the machine and through the top cover and ran down the chassis. So I'm curious, did that get onto a circuit board on the bottom? And it just so happens that I think it probably did. I think it got into the circuit right in this area right there. I can see right here where it's run down here, and it looks like it's dripped directly below that would be right into this area of the board. And I'm just curious if it's caused a short. And is this where the control head plugs in? I wonder. Definitely something in the way that the control track is processed. I don't even know which board does the servo on this. I know this one up here, the one up here is the, this is one of the servo boards for the capstan motor. This one here. Because I can see SLP capstan, SP capstan adjustments. But the motor, the speed does run correct on record. So I don't think it's a problem in the servo circuit. I think it's more of a problem in the detection circuit that detects the speed for playback. Because when I made a recording on this machine, I played it back and it played fine on the other machine. Now, that's weird. I just kind of bumped the speed. I just touched the motor here and stalled it out for a second, and it kicked up to the proper speed. And now I've got playback. And I actually have good playback, complete with the lines from the plasma. But here's my tracking control. It's right in the center. So the alignment is excellent on this. Now if I hit pause, see? SP and SLP have freeze frame and LP does not. And I can actually go frame advance on this machine. This was the first VCR that you could actually do frame events. There's an adjustment for, I think it's right up here. It's the vertical pulse adjust. I'm going to try to localize the area where the speed detection is taking place by running a wet finger over the board to see if I can see any changes in the way that the unit operates. This board is color down here. SP normal, what does it say here? SLP, slow adjust, LP, SP norm, and SP normal caps. Let's just tweak this slightly. See if it comes up at the right speed. Oh, there we go. It's kicked into high speed. Okay, so now it's kicked into the right speed. Stop. And we kick it into playback. It appears to be working. Excellent. Let's so I just made an adjustment to this control here. I just moved it ever so slightly, and now it appears that it is detecting the speed. That's in the speed detection circuit. Let's I'm going to put the bottom on it, or put the board in. We'll put the blank tape back in, and I'll make a recording in all three speeds and make sure that it's able to detect the speeds and play them back. All right, I'm going to make a recording. We'll record in both in SP, LP, and SLP. So I'm recording this right now. This is what I'm recording. This is actually from a Sony demo tape that I've got. So volume. Okay, so this is what's recording. I'm going to switch it to LP right now. So now I just switched it to the LP speed. Fitting, because this was a demo tape from Betamax. This was a beta tape demo that Sony had out. So now we're at the LP speed. I'll let that record for a minute or so, and then we'll switch it to the SLP. As you can see on these units, this is how you tune them in. You selected red dot, white dot, or blue dot, depending on whether you're on VHF 2 to 6 or 7 to 13 or UHF 14 to 83. There was no cable tuner on this. If you tune down below channel 7, you could get the mid-band channels. We'll switch it to SLP now, and so it could get like channels 14 to 22 on cable, but not the hyperband channels or the superband channels, which didn't really matter because you could only preset 14 anyway. Came preset for channels 2 to 13 plus an A and a B position. Of course, everybody messed those up and tuned them to whatever channels were their favorite channels to record from back in the day before we had cable boxes. Okay, let's just rewind this tape now. I've set the tape counter to 0, so we should get back to pretty close to the beginning here. Okay, there we go. Play. This should be SP that kicks in first. Let's see whether it gets SP speed. There is SP. Excellent. That's what I just recorded. And we'll watch it and make sure it goes down to LP and SLP. And if that's the case, then I fixed this machine. One capacitor was replaced in the drum servo and an adjustment in the speed detection. As you can see, it's not recording too bad at all. And LP speed, there's the LP speed. So it's now kicked down to LP, and we'll watch it and make sure that it goes down to the SLP or EP speed. And of course, we'll see the picture quality will degrade as it goes down through the speed. We know that this is the LP speed because if I try to pause it, there's no picture. Only the SP and the SLP, you've got a freeze frame on this machine and frame advance. And if you had the wired remote control, I think it had slow motion. It does have search, so this was the first, and we should switch down to EP right about now. Any second. Picture will cut out for a second when it goes. I think we're in EP now. Nope. Haven't switched it yet. There's where it went. There's EP, because now if I pause it, I get a picture. If I search back, search will probably not work properly on LP. That should be LP, I think that's LP. Yeah, that's LP. Oh, search still works on LP. Not very well. And this should be the SP speed. Should kick up to SP. There it is. And of course, freeze frame works. Frame advance. So this one had freeze frame and frame advance for SP and SLP, and but no, and search of course, but no. You can see the search in SP is pretty good. This was what was on this tape prior, so this was whoever recorded this. I don't know. Someone gave me this machine. Where's my tracking control on here? I can't get at it. Tracking, where is it? I can't get at it until I put the board back in, but it'll switch to SP momentarily. These were slow because there's still control pulses from the previous recording until we actually get past that recording, until the full erase had wiped it, and then it figures it out, because what's happened there was where when I punched in SP, there's a section of tape between the full erase head and here. So in that time that takes the tape to go around, there's still signals from the previous recording because they haven't been yet erased, so it confuses the machine. So all these old machines like this, if you had a tape recorded in EP, that's gone down to LP now. If you had a tape recorded in SLP or EP, and then you started a new recording in SP over top of it, there was always several seconds until the tape actually got to that erased the old track, and then it would kick into the right speed. These old machines weren't that sensitive to speed changes. Anyway, it's working, so I guess I can put this one together. So I'm just going to put the red screws back in, secure the board, put the bottom on, top cover. We'll give it a final test, and then this one will be complete. And then, let's say, we have another working, very old VHS machine that probably shouldn't be working, because this thing is well beyond its designed lifespan. But the engineers that designed this, if they're still alive, should be proud of their accomplishment, because this is one machine that really has lasted a long time. The two screws that hold the top cover on are a little different than the ones from the bottom, and they had little cut washers on them, little star washers, so that they would not back out. We'll give it one more test while it's still apart. Do another recording here. SP. I think it's befitting when I play the final playback of this back to end this with the Sony logo, because this was a Sony demonstration video to demonstrate their beta, and here I have it recorded on VHS. Although it was taken off beta, it's playing off of a media player now. Rewind this back and play it back. So there's the SP, and I can adjust the tracking control now, because it's, and then down to LP. Again, I can adjust the tracking control there, you see, right in the center. And down to EP, there's the EP speed. Again, I can adjust the tracking on that. And then should go back to SP. Now we're back to SP. There we go. Just as it fades to black. And I'm going to go down to EP gain and then up to LP, and just verify that it is changing speed correctly with the different tape speed changes. Then we'll throw the top on this one, and this one will be done. If I adjust the tracking here on the SP speed, actually these are very easy to track up, because the SP heads are a full track. That's what made these machines of the day better than the two-head machines, is they had the full width heads for SP, which of course all four-head machines that followed, but this is one of the first four-head machines that was actually on the market. What was neat about these is they had all three speeds. They had SP, LP, and SLP. And that was actually RCA demanding that. There we go. Now it's gone down to the, that's gone down to EP now. And then it'll kick up to LP in a second. But that was actually demand of RCA.
You see, initially VHS had one speed, SP, 2 hours. RCA and Sony had their beta at 2 hours at a time. RCA and LP. There we go, LP. We know it's LP because if I try to pause it, it will just blank out, no picture. RCA wanted a 4-hour speed, and Panasonic put a 4-hour speed in for them. JVC never accepted the 4-hour speed and went right to 6 hours, and that's why you won't find any JVC machines that have got the LP speed. Companies that made LP was Panasonic. In fact, every Panasonic machine, except for the Super VHS machines, had the LP speed, and Hitachi, of course. And that's it. That's the end of the recording. So I can say that this machine is done. Let's put it together. You remember when I said I think someone's built something into it? They most certainly did. These machines, when the back went on them, you actually had to put the cord through the back. It went through this hole in the middle. I'm not mistaken. It goes like through there because of how the backs went on these ones. So you could not put them together without unplugging them or take them apart. And then the top just kind of slides in place like that. There's 2 screws that go down through the top and one that goes in the back. Little plastic pegs that oh yeah, look at this. It has a switch in here. AFC is off if the door is open. You can turn the AFC off, on or off, and it just pushed a little switch right there. So when you close the door, it automatically turned the AFC off when you were setting the channels, and when you closed the door down, it would turn the AFC back on, although you could opt to leave it off. For the manual set voltage synthesis tuner. Anyway, this one's done. Hope you guys enjoyed looking at their kind of restoration of a old 41-year-old RCA Select Division VHS machine. It's not so much saving this from the landfill, it's more this one was restored more just because of the nostalgia with the old machines, and say this one's actually in very good condition. There it is. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again in the next one real soon. Bye for now.